You hear a constant ticking, always there, though no one knows where it comes from. A sound that accompanies every moment of your life, from your first breath to your last. That ticking is time, or at least that's what we call it. We live chasing the clock, measuring our existence in seconds, minutes, years. But what if time doesn't really exist? What if it's just a way our mind organizes the chaos in the universe? Today, we explore one of the deepest and most unsettling questions ever asked. Is time real, or just an illusion born of our ignorance? Time walks beside us through life. It presses us, rushes us, reminds us that everything ends. If we had infinite time, perhaps we would live more calmly. But because we know our supply is limited, we hear the ticking that has followed us since birth, leading us to our final breath. Time is money, the saying goes, to remind us how precious it is. But unlike money, time can't be earned, bought, or saved. Every second that passes is gone forever. Yet, have we ever truly asked what is actually passing? What are we losing exactly when we say time goes by? The ancient Greeks were among the first to question the nature of time. For Aristotle, time was the measure of change according to before and after. For Heraclitus, everything flows, pantarei. Change is the only constant. But Parmenides disagreed. For him, change itself was an illusion. Our minds perceive transformation not because it's real, but because we are trapped inside the illusion of becoming. We never see time directly. We only perceive its effects. We see a person age, a fruit rot, a leaf fall. And from these changes, we conclude that time has passed. But perhaps we are just observing a sequence of static states, like frames on a film. Our minds connect these frames, interpreting them as a continuous flow. Cause and effect gives us a sense of order. When a pencil falls, we distinguish a before, the pencil in hand, and an after, the pencil on the ground. We assign this sequence a variable, time. Intuitively, it seems to exist, something out there, flowing relentlessly, erasing every moment of our lives, one by one. But what guarantees that it's real and not just a convenient concept to arrange events? Here's where it gets truly strange. Because in the fundamental equation of physics, time doesn't appear at all. The laws that govern the universe, from quantum mechanics to general relativity, don't require before and after. They are time symmetric. They work the same even if time runs backward. As Einstein once said, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. The only place where time ceases to emerge is in thermodynamics, when it is involved. It always flows from hot to cold, never the other way around. This direction, the arrow of time, arises from entropy, the tendency of disorder to increase. A vase can fall and shatter into pieces, but we never see the fragments reassemble themselves. Or rather, it could happen, but the probability is astronomically low. So, time might not be a physical entity, but a statistical consequence of disorder. If time isn't part of the universe's foundation, then past, present, and future are merely mental categories. As physicist Julian Barbon puts it, Time is not something that flows, but a way of perceiving change. Yet our daily experience screams the opposite. We are born, we grow, we die. We can't die before being born, nor leave an effect before its cause. Causality feels carved into reality itself. So how do we reconcile this conflict between physics and perception? An intriguing answer comes from physicist Carlo Rovelli, who wrote, "The time of physics, ultimately, is an expression of our ignorance of the world. Time is ignorance." What does that mean? Rovelli isn't saying time doesn't exist. He's saying we perceive it because we can't grasp the universe in its entirety. Time then might emerge from our limited point of view. Imagine watching a movie one frame at a time. Each image is static, but when you see them in sequence, you perceive motion, a story, a cause, and an effect. Now imagine see the whole film all at once. The idea of flow would vanish. Time would appear for what it truly is, a subjective reconstruction, not an objective feature of reality. Rovelli explains, when we describe the world incompletely, time emerges as a way to organize our ignorance. In essence, time arises from loss of information. When we can't know everything, when we miss certain variables, we invent time to connect things. It's the mind's way of creating continuity where perhaps none exists. Everything we know about the world passes through our senses: sight, hearing, touch. But our senses don't perceive reality continuously. They work in frames, like a low-resolution camera. The brain receives electrical signals and arranges them in time to make sense of events. The temporal sequence we experience might just be an artifact of our perception system. There's no proof that time truly flows, only the feeling that something changes and that we change with it. As St. Augustine once asked, "What then is time? If no one asked me, I know. If I wish to explain it, I do not know." That question captures the entire paradox. He proposed that there are three kinds of time: the present of the past, memory; the present of the present, attention; the present of the future, expectation. In other words, everything we call time exists only in the present moment of the mind. There is no past out there, only the memory of it. There is no future, only the anticipation we imagine. Philosopher Alan Watts once said, "Differentiation is a natural feature of the universe, but separation is an illusion created by the mind and language." In nature, nothing is truly separated. Waves are not different from the ocean. They are the ocean in motion. Likewise, we are not apart from the world. We are the world becoming aware of itself. But the mind must divide to understand. It distinguishes, labels, isolates, and from this fragmentation arise ideas like cause and effect, before and after, self and other. From this mental separation, time itself is born. Language too depends on sequence: subject, verb, object. Our thinking follows the same structure, one thing after another. Watts also said, "We don't come into this world. We come out of it, like waves from the ocean." And if that's true, then time also emerges. It doesn't flow independently of us. It's a function of consciousness. Without an observer to perceive change, there is no time. A lifeless universe would be motionless, eternal, silent. Modern physics partially echoes this view. In Einstein's concept of space-time, there is no universal now. What is present for one observer can be past or future for another. In a sense, the universe is a set of events already complete. We only experience a small portion at a time, as if we were moving through a vast four-dimensional sculpture. The separation we perceive between ourselves and the world, between past and future, is not real. It arises from how consciousness moves within that structure. Maybe there is no before and after, only one vast now, reflected through countless points of view. Each of us crosses a small part of it and calls it life. When we stop believing in separation, time changes its face. It's no longer a line that flows, but an ocean where everything already exists. And we are simply the wave crossing it, believing we are moving forward when in truth we are just dancing in place. Some modern physicists and philosophers describe the universe as a block, a vast structure where past, present, and future coexist, like a completed film. We, conscious beings, are simply the projector moving through the scenes one by one, giving the illusion of motion. In this view, we don't live in time. Time lives in us. Every instant is already there, eternally present. Only consciousness moves along the film strip of reality. Maybe time is real, or maybe it's a necessary illusion, but one truth remains. Our lives are defined by the feeling that time passes. It's the fact that each moment can end that gives it meaning. If time didn't exist, nothing would truly matter. So perhaps the secret isn't to stop time, but to feel it differently, not as an enemy escaping us, but as a rhythm to listen to. Time may be an illusion, but it's the illusion that makes us feel alive. Welcome to Luminal Thinking. If this reflection made you stop and think, even for a second, don't forget to like and subscribe. Here we don't look for easy answers, only questions that illuminate. Because maybe to understand time is to understand ourselves.